Welcome back, listener. Oh God, yeah, I really got no intro here, AJ.
Are we
This is
done?
bad,
We-
but let's just roll with that. Let's just keep going with that.
what is that,
Hello,
episode
listener.
16, and we don't know how to bring it in
Yeah,
anymore?
do I introduce you like, hello, listener? This is
Mhm.
Tony and my
Co-host?
co-host. Co-host.
Well,
Did we settle that out after the last two episodes? Because
no, we were giving each other a bunch of crap, and we went back and forth. I remember I called myself Batman and referred to you as Robin. I forget what you jabbed
you
at me,
were
but it was good
Ed
too.
McMahon at one point, and then I think I put you as David Letterman. I don't know. but
Either way, we still don't know what we're doing. We never
Yeah.
will.
Okay, listener, welcome back. Sure, whatever podcast. Across the computer for me is AJ.
Thank
AJ,
you, sir.
how you been, man?
Good, good. It's been probably 2 weeks since our last one. It's been a long 2 weeks, to be honest. We had a little stretch there where I think for 4 days straight, we were just drinking, watching the Astros, watching soccer, watching different kinds of soccer, and then hanging out at our favorite bar. So we deserved a break. It's good to be back, but the bank account is finally refunding itself.
Yeah, that was a long month-long bender for me because I had three weddings last month, and then it all culminated around an Austin trip, and then still came back and drank with you guys. So yes, anyways, but one thing that we did this a lot. It might have started about a month ago. We went to a bunch of comedy shows that thanks to AJ. AJ's you've been into this for a while before you started dragging us along.
Hmm.
And I say drag loosely because I mean, who doesn't want to go see a comedian and laugh? But this wasn't just like random stand up. This was actual
These were
comedians.
professionals. This was yeah. So I'm big into stand up. I have watched it for years, and then sometimes would go just myself to see who I liked. But as you guys have gotten more and more into it, and I've exposed you to some of the crazy morons that I really enjoy, I thought, hey, these guys will like the adventure too. So drug you to a couple, and we saw, I want to say, four comedians in the time span of like a month or month and a half, and even dragged some of our other friends to them too.
Yeah, you originally started with me. You asked Mikey and I if we want to go. Oh no, Mikey did go to that first one, didn't he?
First one was Nate. Yeah, Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze. Nate Bargatze was good. Right out of the gate, you invited us to go see him, and I I want to say like I remember some of his stuff, but because you always send us a YouTube clip or a link or something over there to listen to these guys, and they're always good. But if you're not in that world, if you're like say if you're not a sports person and somebody starts talking to you about Peyton Manning and Kurt Schilling and
Yeah, you go to your happy place.
Gretzky, you're like, sure, yeah, yeah. You can accept the fact, but like I'm not into the comedy world like AJ is, and he talks about these people off the cuff just casually, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, and I need to be like coaxed along to remember. Oh, I did hear his stuff, but Nate, I did remember hearing Nate's stuff that you sent me, and he was good. He was really good.
He's gained a lot of traction. I kind of watched him in his first special and maybe a little bit before, but he just has this. He's from Tennessee, so he's got this really interesting delivery and Southern twang that really resonates with me because I got a buddy from Tennessee, and you and I both grown up in the South, but really love his dry humor, his delivery, and I'm glad to see him getting more and more popular.
He was good. I liked his opener, and I think he was really good. Now, who was the second guy we went to go see? He was the
Second guy was that I drug you to was Chris D'Elia.
yeah, he's the guy from I recognize him from the Whitney Cummings show.
Yes.
Like he wrote for
Yep.
her, and then he was also starred in like her sitcom
He
for a
was the
little while.
boyfriend in that. He is wildly popular these last couple years. Just blowing up. I think he has one of the most famous Instagrams and Snapchats that's out there right now. But incredible, maybe more popular than all the guys that we saw.
Hmm. Now we saw three of these comedians at the same place,
Yep.
and when we went to go see Chris, we got there on time, and we got there early to get a table because it's kind of open seating, and we all wanted to sit together, and we really kind of threw a boner for trying to get our seats. I mean, we thought they were good, but it just we were taken to school on how to actually find a good table and seats at this place.
Yeah.
Like we thought we were good. We're sitting in the back, and I don't know. So just environment of where we were actually sitting, I think it detracted a little bit from Chris. He was still good, and I like his comedy. I like how he has his delivery. I didn't like his opener,
Yeah,
but
there were. To be honest, Chris. Here was my problem with it. Chris is so good. His specials are good. His stand up is good. Even his interviews and his acting is good. Of the four comedians that we saw, I thought maybe his act was a little bit of the weaker ones. He was trying a bunch of new stuff. It wasn't necessarily like some of his old stuff as far as his style, but I was happy to hear something new. So I still like him. I still had a good time, but of the four, probably the weaker of the four.
yeah, I agree with you on that. I mean, he was still good. It was still comedy. I
Yep.
mean, I'm not saying I mean, pizza's still pizza, regardless of
Oh,
what kind of pizza you're
so
eating. So
true.
like, yeah. And a little sidebar: his opener looked just like him, but he had an Irish accent,
Yeah.
and I think I told you guys this. I'm not sure how I feel about the opener because I don't think he was funny. I just think because he had an accent, like an Irish accent, a real thick, heavy, like laid it on nice and thick. It was just it was
Yep.
like
He could get away with some stuff.
yeah, we were just laughing at him because he was like, hey, use different words instead of using an elevator, use a lift or something. You know that type of crap. So
We just found his culture and his speeches and mannerism a little funny. Besides just what he was saying.
yeah, yeah. And then the was it the third comedian we saw?
Oh,
This was the home run. This was the grand slam.
legend, Mr. Bill Burr. Mr. Bill Burr. I even tweeted that at sure whatever, bro. Do you like that? Do you like how I did that?
Yeah, wow, smooth. That was so smooth. I barely even noticed that.
A picture. Yeah, we're growing. We're getting big.
Yeah.
2 followers. And tweeted a picture of where we were sitting for Bill Burr. And I know I don't know if you thought he was, but you and I've been Bill Burr fans for years and years and years. Probably close to a decade, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen him live, and I think it was your first time too. But we'd seen his specials. I even listened to his podcast. He's just amazing. He's got a bunch of stuff on all things comedy, different YouTube channels, all this stuff. And I really think that was the best stand up show I'd seen. He's just so good, and all of his stuff was new, every single bit of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you on that. It's like we've been fans for a while and he's our type of comedy.
Yes.
Like it's just a little bit of rant, a little bit of anger, always funny, always lighthearted. And it's just he just gets in there and he tells the truth in such a surprising comical way
Yep.
that I mean, what do they say like comedy's just finding the truth in was it regular situations or that might have been Jerry Seinfeld's thing, but it's like I don't know, he's just really good.
Yeah.
And I know he can knock it out of the park every time, but this is I even talked to you guys about this. He did hit this show in Houston, which is still the South, and he is slowly turning into I'm not sure exactly where he's from, but he is a California guy. So he starts talking about stuff and he could just I think he even said a couple times where he's like, "Man, I just love doing shows in Houston or I just love doing shows in the South because like as a little jab of like, come on guys, it's a comedy show. Just because I'm talking about guns or religion or something like that don't have to take offense."
Yeah. I thought it was great. He always, whenever he refers to the South, within 1 or 2 sentences, he'll yell, "In the Bible Belt!" You know, and it always gets my funny bone. He has so many little things that just really resonate that I love. So of the 4, I thought he was the best.
Yeah, even with the cultural differences that he was fighting against and just the society down here of how everybody acts and thinks, he still did a great job. He would be it would have added just a little bit more if we would have seen that show probably like in LA or something where he's from where
Yeah.
like I don't want to say everybody's neutral in LA. I don't even know where was the neutral place be? Probably like Colorado or something like that. Or
I
maybe
don't know about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like I think of try to get a neutral level place. I just go to the dead center of America.
I don't
It's
know.
got to be neutral there,
I
right?
don't know why I
Yeah.
thought Oklahoma, but
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, that was good. I want to see him again, probably somewhere else, maybe like in Chicago or probably in
we should actually see if Baltimore's doing anything when we're up there in a month.
Oh yeah, yeah, listener, we're about to take a trip to Baltimore, a guy's trip to Baltimore. Go watch the Stros play and just guys weekend.
Support the team away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the last one we just went to 2 weeks ago or something.
Yep.
And this was Bert. How do you say his last name?
Kreischer.
Kreischer. Bert Kreischer. And listener, I'm gonna put up. I'll put up a link. YouTube. Ask AJ to send me over a link of like just a snippet of some of all their best work. And Bert Kreischer, he was funny. He was funny. I put him right under Bill Burr, and we went back to the same comedy venue, and we definitely found better seats and knew exactly what we were doing this time. And boy,
He's a
he's a
storyteller.
riot. I think you hit it right when we were walking out and you're telling us like he is just the life of the
Yep.
party. That's
Everywhere
what
he
he is.
goes, no matter who's there, he's the winner. Everybody's around him because something's going to happen.
He was really good. I liked he rehashed a couple of his old bits, and I like it when comedians do this when they bring up their old stuff, and they know like this is like how Jeff Foxworthy did that thing like you know you're a redneck one like that's what it like that's his bread and butter. He has that machine story, and he didn't just come out and just tell the whole thing like because every like 80% of the audience knew
Oh,
it,
for
80 or
sure.
90% of the
Yeah.
audience. So he came out and just like really kind of just told a Cliff Notes version of it and
Which was
just kind of
perfect.
twist
Yeah.
yeah and just twisted it just a little bit and it's still just as funny. The whole story is as funny, but just the way he delivered it just a little bit differently made it just you knew exactly what was happening, what was going to come around, but like just like the little nuances he said about one thing or something else, it's just kind of like he still makes it funny.
He's so funny. He does a cooking show. I don't know if you've seen this. Something's Burning on YouTube. He gets just two comedians together, and they cook something. And if you have seen his stand up, which you have, you know kind of how that's gonna go. So it's fantastic. He's done it about half a dozen times now. With Chris D'Elia's been there, all sorts of people.
Now now, listener, if you don't know who this guy is, he does his whole comedy show with his shirt off. Like he'll walk up on stage and take his shirt off, and he's not like a ripped man or anything. Like he's just dad bod out, just out there, hairy chest, big belly.
Yep.
And does he cook without his shirt on?
Not on the show, no.
What a wuss.
Well, sometimes he gets grease and things burning, and it's probably smart for him to have a shirt on at that point.
Yeah. He's got a Netflix special coming up, and I really hope that he uses some of the stuff that he, because a lot of the stuff was new to me, and there was a couple things in there you can tell that he was just trying out, like the Starbucks joke he was telling us
Oh
about.
yeah, yep.
I hope he puts that in his Netflix special coming up.
I
So,
hope so.
anyways, listener, I'll put up some links.
Great, had a great time. Gonna keep up to date with comedy. We're both big into stand up and even comedians on podcast. We both listen to as well. So we'll keep you guys up to date of what we're listening to and who we like. Well, I'm sure you'll like it too.
Now, AJ, talking about comedians and letting them know exactly what we do in our off time is all fun and games, but the listener really wants to know the
Uh oh.
burning question.
Oh.
And the burning question was, how'd your wiping experience go from the last?
That's what they want to know, huh?
That's exactly the question is just out there, and it's like the elephant in the room. They need to know.
If that's what they want to know, as you say, that's what I'm happy to talk about.
So,
So
all right. So let me rehash real quick.
you
If you haven't,
recapping? Okay, you go
yeah,
for it.
okay. The recap. We were talking about something about just habits of like how you do something, and then we like it just spiraled into like how do you wipe your butt?
Oh, it
And
spiraled fast.
so long story short, we found out that AJ and I wipe our butt differently.
Yep.
I wipe it the correct logical way, and
Nope.
AJ does some sort of half, I don't know, praying mantis,
Oh, so
leaning tiger, crouching toilet paper trick.
oh
Anyways,
god.
so we set forth that in the last episode that AJ would try wiping my way, and
Yep.
on top of that, he would also try wiping with his non-dominant hand, however he
Yep.
felt like. And I would try wiping his way, and then I would also try wiping with my non-dominant hand, just to see how it goes. And we both tweeted these out, and both tweets were out within. Well, my tweet was out within like a day. It took
Well,
AJ about a week to
you know
conjure
my
up
movements.
two.
They take a little longer. So, and my memory, so that takes even longer.
AJ, tell the listener how your
I will update
experience
them
went.
on my experience. And let me just say, Tony's method is the odd man out, okay? He's talking like his is some high and mighty, like He's using the 3 seashells from Demolition Man. Okay, that's not it.
If you don't know
That's
how to
not it.
use it, then
Tony,
it's
we've taken a quick poll of like our 5 or 6 friends since we've been out. Nobody does it Tony's way. Anyway, the
and you're
point
all
is,
wrong. You're all wrong.
point is, the first method was non-dominant hand. So I did that. I have a lean technique, and this caused me to lean to the other side. Being a little more apprehensive than I am, I chose to use a couple more pieces of tissue paper just to make sure that it was,
Larger safety net.
Yes, smart and safe. And it went okay. It was awkward. It just went okay. After that, I went back to the normal style, of course, but we got through it. Left side's actually kind of my dominant side, but I'm just more used to right-handed. So it wasn't that much of a stretch for me, but it still was not, it was not comfortable by any stretch of the means. The second way was Tony's method. Tony chooses to, I use the word stand. It's not stand. It's more of a crouch position, but you're definitely off the seat when
100% off the seat.
you take care of your business.
Yes.
So that was, it could have been super awkward if I was non-dominant and crouched, but because I was dominant and crouched, it wasn't as awkward as I thought it was. I still got the job done just as good, which I was surprised about, but non-dominant could have been very weird.
Oh, yeah. No, I had the same thing where I used my method, but I used my non-dominant hand. And it just like you using a larger safety margin, I use more toilet paper. I use more wipes just to make sure, because you don't know. You don't know.
You don't.
You don't know. You train your whole life to do one thing one way, and now all of a sudden you switch it up, and there could be drastic consequences if you mess this up.
Man.
So the non-dominant hand worked. Then I tried using AJ's way, where it's
the sit and lean.
I'm still sitting on the toilet, and I just lean to get a cheek off.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
To just get in there and just like, and there's just so much error in that situation. I understand it's lazy. You just basically just kind of over here like, hey, hello, yep. And then you come back and it's like, okay, did that do the job? I don't know. I have to check. You have to check. There is a feedback loop. You wipe, you look, and that tells you if you continue going after the minimum amount of wipes. Seriously, guys.
Okay.
Listener, you have to have a minimum amount of wipes. And if it's anywhere lower than 3, stop it.
Yeah. You do 3.
Minimum. Even if the first 2 are clean.
Yep.
So what I don't like about that is I have to lean, get in there, and then I have to bring my hand out of the toilet to look to see where what the data results were from that wipe, and then I have to put it back in the toilet. I understand that you could just wipe and let go, and then because everything's right there. But there's so much error in that. 100% error in that. Like, you're basically just praying to a higher power that like, I did it. I'm right. I mean, you don't know what's going on.
So you did not enjoy this experience at all, and you're already back to your normal ways.
No, I'm 100%. I never left my normal ways. This was just a rogue experience, kind of like when you get down to the depths of on the internet and you're like, oh, where did I click on? Well, maybe what I was looking for is just past this.
Never go to page 3. Never.
No. So I just like my way. There's no error in it. You get up there, you engage your core, you get into it, you go, and as you're tossing it into the toilet bowl, you have confirmation of what just happened. Okay. There's no guessing.
Well, me and our 6 other friends like it my way. But that doesn't mean that me and my 6 friends are right.
It went from 5 friends, listener. Now it's 6. He's like telling a fish story. It was this big. There were this many people there.
It was 7 friends, and we did it.
There we go.
Yeah.
And we all did it together. We all went to the bathroom.
Man.
Anyway, so we all tweeted out. If you were wondering what that tweet was, listener, at sure whatever, bro. You like how I squeezed that in there?
Yeah, good. We're getting good.
Yeah. The results were the eagle has landed for both cases. And if something disastrous went down, you probably read that tweet. Something disastrous went down, it was going to be how now, brown cow. Thank God I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, we were smart and we're very safe.
Mm-hmm. So if you'd like to tell us how you do it, how you wipe your bottom after you go number 2, please tweet us at sure whatever bro.
Yes, Tony's looking for support here.
Yes, I know. And if you wipe your butt AJ's way, don't
Yeah.
don't
Oh.
tweet in.
He doesn't want to know those.
Yeah, I just want to know the people in my camp.
Only the ones that support him he wants to hear from.
Exactly. That's oh man, I should be a politician. That's good.
Oh, that is true.
All right, listeners, that time again. It's that time to check into the bag of errors that we did and see if there are any comments or corrections.
Oh, it's my favorite time.
Yeah, and AJ, what would you know? We're still batting 1,000.
Oh, God.
We've said nothing wrong.
Hall of Fame, basically?
Hall of Fame. I mean, no performance-enhancing drugs over here. We're just that
Question,
good.
if there are no corrections, did we say anything wrong? I think the answer is no.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that.
I think
mean,
the answer is no. Okay.
the proof's in the pudding.
That's what the data shows, so as data scientists, I don't think we can disagree.
We've got to keep that scientific method going. Okay, so listeners, since there's no fan corrections, that means you get a Chuck Norris.
Yay!
Chuck Norris fact. Fact, quote, what are these things? I don't know, snippets. So this is, I am going to turn the page. And today's says, Chuck Norris doesn't daydream. He's too busy giving other people nightmares.
Oh, I like that.
You know what? That's a pretty good. There's a bunch of duds in this, but that's a pretty good one.
I do like that one.
Yeah, that's the weekend one. So, okay. Also, AJ, I want to bring up another corner of shame. I was going to bring this up last week, but we were kind of running long and babbling on about how inferior your wiping technique was.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do enjoy our corner of shame, though. So, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so this is my corner of shame, but I think this might also deal with you as well because we're both
Probably.
sports fans, and this is just something I feel that I should have known. Just being a big baseball fan. And AJ, I'm going to ask you this: do you know what, when, why, or how the term walk-off came to be?
Oh, man. No, I'm in the corner as well.
There we go.
Damn it.
Don't you feel like you should know this?
I should.
Now, to the listener, this is in the context it is right now. It's when the home team gets to bat in baseball at last, so they get the last chance to win the game. And a walk-off nowadays has the context of when the home team gets a hit or a home run or something to drive in a run, and then the game is over. Once that run touches the winning run, once the winning run touches home plate, the game's over. And that's it. So, like, there's no rebuttal. So, usually the game's already out of hand, and then they just finish off the game. Or if it's when it's a close game or there's a big comeback, and the winning team gets the last chance to win the game, and they do. It's called a walk-off.
How come?
Okay, so my dad actually asked me this, and I was like, oh, I don't, you know what? I don't know. And I had some theories and stuff, but anyways, I looked it up. This term is not that old at all. You want to guess how old this term is?
I was really hoping it was from the 50s or 60s, man.
This is from 1988.
Oh, man.
And it's from a pitcher, Dennis Eckersley. Eckersley?
Oh, I know.
Eckersley.
Yeah, he pitched for the A's.
Yeah. He said this to a reporter after a game and it was quoted as a walk-off piece, as it's in like a piece of art. So Dennis Eckersley said this as to the reporter in the context of, man, that guy hit a home run so far that you don't even have to look at it. You just hang your head in shame, walk off the mound back to your dugout, and it's a piece of art. And that's where the original term is a walk-off piece. That was quoted from Dennis Eckersley in 1988. So it's a
I
fairly
like
new
that
term.
quote, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's where it came from. I thought maybe it would be something stupid, but I actually like that quote. All right, walk off. I'm in.
So there you go, listener. You learned a little something there, and
I learned
then
something.
it was started off with a home run that's so hit crushed so hard that you just don't even have to look at it. And if you watch baseball, you know sometimes when a pitcher throws a friendship pass down the middle of the plate and it's just crushed, he doesn't even look. He just hangs his head and he's like, that's
Yeah,
gone.
his shoulders slouch. He hangs his head. He doesn't need to look.
But now it's turned into something where it could be a walk-off single, a double, a home run. It could be a walk-off walk, and it's like I think it's just now it's morphed into anything that wins the game.
I never would have associated that it was the pitcher that needed to walk off as a walk-off home. Oh, interesting.
And one little tidbit when I was looking this up. Have you ever heard of the tools of ignorance in baseball?
Tools? No. Is that another? Am I in the second corner as well?
No, this one. Well, first of all, I've never heard of this either. But it was just when I was looking up the terms, like this was one in there that I thought I was like, oh, what is this? So I looked it up. The tools of ignorance refers to the catcher's gear, because they say anybody smart enough to be a catcher and wear this stuff, or anybody smart enough to wear this protective gear, it should be smart enough not to be a catcher. So they call it the tools of ignorance. Anyways. That's just two things I heard or learned.
Basically stating that if you need these things to play this position, you shouldn't be in this position.
Yeah.
I like that. Nope. Tools of ignorance. There's another one. Learn two things. Beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, 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 beep, doop. I swear to God, we need to use those. Can we please use those? All right, Tony, I got a good question for you this week.
All right, fire away.
We've done questions in the past, but this one I like. I heard two guys talking about something similar, and it gave me the idea to bring this up on our podcast. So kind of like us asking questions back and forth, would you rather, or, what would you do in this scenario, blah, blah, blah. I got two good ones for this week. Here's what I want to ask. First question, it's kind of time travel related. So what I want to know is, and this is for both of us, in scenario one, if you could travel back to any event in human, not necessarily human, maybe all time, Earth history, what event would you go back and observe? That's the first one. And then to think about the second one while you're thinking about the first, if you had to go back into any event again, but then partake in this event, which event would that be? So first one, just observe, just maybe see something cool or something you've always wanted to know. And then two, this one you have to participate in.
You have to participate. So like I could change the future.
Absolutely. Now you can't take anything with you. Like if you wanted to go to the Civil War and bring a machine gun or something, but you'd be there in your Civil War clothes and your musket and be like, oh, this is pretty intense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I see that.
So what you're thinking though, if you want me to go first on the first one?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, you go first because I gotta. Yeah. So
a lot of things came to my mind.
How long can I go? Because right off the bat, I'm thinking about let's see, I'm gonna go back in time to this one event. Oh. But I get to choose how long I'm there for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have a couple days, a year, whatever. You got your lifespan to observe. You could go back all the way to the dinosaurs if you wanted to.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You go first, and I think I got two on deck that I think, but I gotta vet these in my head. Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. So first scenario is to go back to a specific moment in time and just observe. Right. I really like my two answers here. The first one, of course I like it. It's my stuff. Anyway.
I know. I'm awesome. I thought it. Yeah. I said it.
First example that I would want to do just to observe is I would want to go back and observe the battle at Thermopylae. This is based off the movie 300. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah. I read the book, too. That's great.
Yeah, where they were there, and it was just a couple hundred Spartans, and then also they had some support that the movie didn't necessarily talk about from other neighboring countries. But regardless, it was thousands versus millions. And just to see that battle take place over the a couple of days it did, I think. And you read the book, and I've seen stuff on the History Channel talking about how it actually happened, too. I would love to be perched up on some high rock or quarry and just get to see that whole thing take place. That would be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Because that's good. That's good because you don't want to be a part of that.
Nope,
you don't want to take
that. You're right.
We all know how that one ends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. So
can you imagine what that'd be like?
Yeah, because back then, fighting was different.
So different. It's hand to hand.
They had, well, what I'm trying to say is like they had physical warriors coming from Sparta, and like
Mm.
what I know is like all the but back then you just gotta give and take a little bit with the good with the bad. Back then, all the warriors had a slave or two slaves, and they were the ones that carried all their stuff and blah blah blah. So if the warrior died from another warrior, he would just go kill the other slaves, but anyway, because they weren't warriors, they were just like young boys or something that couldn't work the field. I don't know. So the long and short of this, you could see like specific trained warriors, like we have specific like Navy SEALs and stuff like designed for that. You could see how these specialists
Yeah.
did their job back in the day with their
The
tools.
best of the best warriors, too. I mean, these guys were the most elite of the elite, facing hundreds of thousands of millions, and how they held their ground. That'd just be insane for me to see. That's what I would, and it'd be horrible to see. It really would be horrific, but it's just something that would be incredible, too.
Yeah. Oh, that would be neat to have like a little bird's eye view,
Yeah.
just to sit there.
Yep.
And they have so many good quotes, like legitimate quotes, not like just movie quotes, legitimate quotes. Like was it like our arrows will blot out the sun. Say
That
we'll
was a
fight in
real
the
one.
shade. That's something they actually said. And then I think I'm not sure if this is true. If it's still if they may have resurrected a plaque for it or something, because borders change, cities where these cities don't exist anymore, like and all this stuff. But there's I think they said like where they think it took place, they put up a plaque saying like it says like go passerby, tell the world that by Spartan law these 300 died or
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
It's like some quote saying like these guys did their job, and they did their job for two reasons. One, to keep them out or to stall them to get so Greece can like unify
Hmm.
and give them time to unify, but also to like almost like a battle cry of like, hey, look what they just did to our people. Like we're not just gonna let them come
And
in
our
and then
king.
take
Yeah.
and our king. Yeah. So
So
no, that's a good one.
that
Good
would be
one.
mine. You got one in mind?
Okay, so I was thinking this as soon as you said like observe, and I was thinking like the first thing that popped in my head was go see if I could see the meteor land that killed all the dinosaurs. But I
Ooh.
think I'm gonna go something differently because this is something like it's along the line of war. Actually, you know what? D-Day would be good to see, but anyways,
Oh yeah.
I think it would be the best thing to see would be to sit on a hillside and watch the B-29 drop the first atomic bomb ever used in war over
I was
Hiroshima.
thinking of that too. I really was.
Now, we've all seen footage of like of an atomic bomb going off and and all that stuff. You just go see the old footage and stuff, and we don't do that anymore because, first of all, we shouldn't do it because
Yeah.
it just
Radioactive material.
the fallout of it just hurts everybody. It doesn't hurt just it. And but I really do think that if I could just observe and not like be doused with radiation, that would be really interesting to see the first one of only two atomic weapons used in war, and it's such a game changer. Like that's when the world literally turned from or fighting with guns and explosives and projectiles and all that stuff to like now we're using physics to kill you.
Yeah, we're not using 500-pound bombs anymore. We're using these are massive. I mean, it was the most destructive human-made event that took place.
Yeah, it's true, and it was specific, and it wasn't just a show. I would see it was a show of force, but like it wasn't just like, hey, look what we can do. It was like it was specifically to a specific demonstration to blow everything out of the water and say, this is where you're taking this now, and we will use more. And that's when they
Yeah.
went and they dropped one on Nagasaki. It's like this will continue.
Please, for the love of God, surrender. Please, please.
Yeah. Quit making us use this stuff. And at the time, I'm pretty sure all the the soldiers in the South Pacific and all that stuff were like, nah, use a ball, because they're fighting for their lives. But at hindsight, looking back, I think we all really kind of understand we didn't want to use those, but
Yeah.
that there was probably no way to. It's that whole thing of like, could you cure cancer if you could just kill one child? It's like, well, the U.S. killed that one child. Think of all the people they saved by just hitting those knockout punches.
You know, That's a pretty good answer to that question because how many people in existence have been able to see something like that? And those that have obviously had fallout from it. So to be able to observe that, and it was horrific. Absolutely, it was horrific. But if you were just able to get to observe kind of the impact, that would be something that would, it's a very unique experience.
And that's just a little snippet. Like it would probably be like a 5 minutes of watching the plane come over, drop it, boom, explodes, see the horror,
Maybe
and then
feel
get out.
the air too from the explosion.
Yeah, because that was even back then. Even though we're talking about atomic bombs, like it's still nothing compared to what we have now. Like what we have now is much more precision, much more devastating and stuff. So anyway, yeah. Okay, so that was the one more I'm just gonna observe. The next one you're talking about, we have to go participate.
Participate in, yes.
Okay, which one are you gonna? What's your participation one?
So what I wanted to do was, I had this idea. I was thinking of using it for the participation one, and then I was thinking of using it for the just watching one. But yeah, I had to bring it up for 2 seconds. I kind of wanted to do the Alamo. I kind of wanted to. That's not my answer, but I just wanted to touch and see how crazy that would be.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that.
Of course, if I participated, then we'd know what that means. But
yeah,
I wanted
like
to,
you're
yeah,
we're starting to see a trend of what you wanted
yeah,
what
it's
you want to
war.
see.
It's not good. It's not good. Well, yours was war too, so I'm curious what your second one's gonna be. But anyway, my real answer to the one I want to participate in is it's very American. I really like this answer. I would love to be part of that Boston Tea Party
Oh,
because I could really see myself being one of those guys. Believe it or not, just taking their, I almost cussed, taking their crap,
yeah.
throwing it back in their water, in our water, and just say nope, not anymore.
Get out of here. We don't want this taxation without representation.
Exactly, to be part of the rebel forces that just were tired of all that crap, and actually be a part of a team that stood up for something. So that's kind of what I was thinking, to actually be a part of the Boston Tea Party.
Yeah, that's a good one because it's just one more heavy straw on the camel's back before it broke, and it's such a pivotal event too. It's like this is it when we just snap. It's like nope. It's almost like I don't know too much about the actual chronological deep down
Oh
nitty
yeah, me
gritty
neither.
bits of the civil or the Revolutionary War, but man, that's just something like the Midnight Ride of Paul
Yep,
Revere or something like that.
I like this. So that's mine, Boston Tea Party.
Okay, be a part of that. Okay, so I thought you were going to say this a second ago, but I don't know. It's almost a toss up. It's almost a toss up. I'm not going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you what I'm not going to choose as my second one
Okay,
to
same
participate
as
in.
me.
I was thinking more along the lines of the signing of the Declaration of Independence,
Yeah. All right.
because then I could sign my name on that
Oh, shit.
thing.
Oh my God! Of course.
You think John Hancock wrote his name big? Oh
Oh,
man, I'd sit there with a.
that's a T. That's an O.
Yeah, yeah, right. But I'm not going to use that one because I would much rather, and I know this isn't possible, but I mean we're
Yeah, this
getting
is
into
all
the
make
fantasy
believe.
land over here. I would much rather have been the third man on the moon landing.
I had thought about that too.
Yeah,
The third
like
man.
if the Apollo program could shoot four people off, one person would stay in the capsule and three would go down to the moon. I would want to be the third man
How come the
because
third?
then it could be even well because I do not want to take anything away from Neil Armstrong or Buzz
Oh,
Aldrin.
okay.
Like that's
Respect them.
them.
Sure.
Yes, that's them. I don't mind being the third person on the moon because honestly, and you've heard them say this, like when they landed that, they all kind of landed on the moon at the same time. He was just the first person to like put his boot on the moon. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I get that. I get that. And somebody has to be first because it's America and we're first to the moon. And Neil Armstrong was first one to walk on the moon. So that's what we want. I just think it's
Yeah, that's a good answer. Because so few people have actually. You have ones that are very unique that not many people have experienced. So those are good answers.
so. This is really funny because like you were saying your first one, I was running through a bunch of stuff in my mind of like what there's so many events in history that I would want to go see and
Oh,
observe or maybe participate
oh
in
yeah.
like you're talking about like the Boston Tea Party. What about like Yuri Gagarin taking off, first man in space, or do something like maybe even like the French Revolution when they go and storm the palace and they kill the king and stuff like
Yep.
that. I like to be see
I
that
was even
stuff.
thinking Chuck Yeager. I want to be the first person to go Mach 1. I was like, yeah. So those
Yeah,
type things too. Yeah, I had a lot lined up, but I had to go with two.
the first one, watching Columbus sail away, not like that, something like that. That watching the Spanish Armada get taken out by a storm right before they went to go attack a Britain. Like little. There's so much stuff in history that I'd like to go back and see the Hindenburg. I'd like to go see the Hindenburg
Ooh.
blow up. Maybe go see was it Willie Mays when he broke the home run record.
We're big
Oh, go
baseball. Go
see
see in the Babe.
Jackie Robinson and stuff like that. Did people breaking the color barrier? Like, I don't know. Like, there's just so many, and I'm trying to think of other stuff that happened around the world in history. Like
Maybe going to see some of the popular Olympic events. Some of those are up there too.
the original Olympic events. What if you go back and just go see Christ getting crucified or
I
something like
thought
that?
about day one. I thought about saying I'd like to go to day one, please.
Yeah, day one. I mean, could you? Yeah, you could go beyond that. You could go see what really happened with with Mary. So no, there's just like so many things. And I know you're getting controversial about some of it, but we both did war things. Yours was a little more poetic than mine. Yeah, seeing things like maybe you just go watching them hanging around all the Oppenheimer when they did the Manhattan Project.
I thought about being part of
D-Day
that too.
storming Normandy, storming Normandy, and oh God, there's just like little things. I know we're thinking there's so much history. Going to see like Galileo get tried for telling the Vatican that we weren't the center of the
Can you
universe.
imagine that?
I don't know. There's like, and a lot of the stuff that's fresh in my mind has happened in the past like 100 years. Go see it. Maybe go be on the Titanic when it sinks or something like that.
Oh,
Go seeing the Wright brothers fly for the first time.
you were just firing these off.
I mean, these are like big historical events that I'd want to see, right? And
Well, I want to see them too, but you're thinking much quicker than I am.
hey, go see the Golden Gate Bridge being built. I know that's like a long time coming. How about this? How about going to Mount St. Helens when it
I
erupted?
thought about
Going and
doing some
seeing,
volcano stuff too, yeah, or major earthquakes. I thought about that too.
yeah, because there was I think was there an earthquake for Mount St. Helens as well? Because my mother was in that. My mom grew up in Washington State, and she remember she was in church and she just saw the pews rolling like water, and I was like, oh, that's got to be freaking scary as a kid.
Or going to see like some of the 100-foot tsunamis that have taken place over the years. How crazy would that be?
Oh yeah, exactly. Maybe going in I don't know, maybe from an airplane or a helicopter. I was watching the guys climb the first people to summit Mount Everest, something like that. Or
Oh, we could go on forever.
yeah. Okay,
We could.
I'll stop. I'll
We
stop.
could. Well, there's just so many good things.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're listening and you've thought of something that you'd like to see and we haven't mentioned yet, give us a tweet at sure whatever bro and tell us what you'd like to see. We're apparently a little more morbid than the average person, picking wars and explosions and battles, but
Yeah.
we'd like to hear from a gentler, kinder soul.
So AJ, I was talking to you the other day, and we like to throw movie references back and forth and stuff. And I made a movie reference, and I could tell right away that you didn't get it.
Uh-uh.
So I asked you if you've seen this movie, and you obviously haven't. I immediately stood up out of my chair and slammed my fist on the table and said, "You will go sit in the corner until you watch it." That's an exaggeration, but
It wasn't
I was
far
really
off, though.
adamant. Yeah, I was really adamant that you needed to watch this. Like, this is one of my favorite movies. It's not it's definitely in the top 10. It's not like a cult classic. It's not a classic. It's somewhere in between. And I made you before this podcast go watch this movie so we can discuss it. This movie is Layer Cake.
And I had never even heard of it before. Never. It was so I did a little looking up and made in 2004. But Tony was adamant. Tony, I'm going to compliment him right now, but I don't want anybody to repeat this or remember it, okay? So just strike this from your memory. Tony has very good movie recommendations for my taste. So when he recommends something, I know it's going to be good. And that's the last compliment I'll give him on the podcast. But what I'm saying is,
No, let's rewind that and say
no,
that again.
I think it's broken.
One more
I think
time.
it broke.
Oh, okay, okay.
Anyway, so I knew when he recommended it, it would be good. He told me one or two characters that would be in it. And I said, oh, all right. Well, I'm in and I'll watch it. And so Layer Cake, 2004, main character is Daniel Craig. And after I started I did no research. I didn't want to. I kind of wanted to go in blank. And honestly, Tony, within the first 30 minutes, I can't tell you how many times I kept going, holy cow, that guy's in it too. And look at them. Look at and that person. And it's them
Uh-huh.
too. I just kept doing that for like the first 30 minutes. I was blown away at it was a who's who of actors these days. And even the lady, I had to look this up later, even the lady that was in The Shape of Water, the main character, she
Mm-hmm.
was in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She was the Duke's girlfriend. Right?
Really?
That's what I
Oh,
said.
yeah. Okay. I didn't realize it. AJ's right. Yeah, this is an old excuse me, old. This is an early almost like European British film. Kind of like how Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and like what was the other one? Snatch. Like it's just kind of like that.
Mixed with like Ocean's 11 type stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a European movie. It's
Yes.
it's not an American movie. I was like I said, I was so adamant you saying it's like this is like whenever I think of Daniel Craig outside of James Bond, I think of this right here, and I think he could play that character really well. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it was good. I had no exposure to it. Again, I did no research. All I knew was that you were forcing me to see it, and I knew it was going to be a good recommendation. But I went in blank, and usually when I go into movies like that, I tend to have a good experience. And this was no different. Again, with all those actors in it, it's tough to make something bad with that type of talent in there. Very impressed. It did kind of give me a Ocean's 11 meets Snatch vibe.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty good description. I like
Yep.
that.
For me, some of the voices and lingo were a little difficult, but that one's on me to understand. English people, when they really get to speak in good English, proper, the Queen's English, my ear goes. I have an easier time understanding somebody with a heavy Asian accent speaking English than I do an English person speaking proper English. But that's just my ear. So some of the moments I had to be like pause, rewind. Okay, that's what he said. But that was just me. Otherwise, I thought the movie was good. I looked up reviews. Reviews were good. Really a good. If you like Ocean's 11, if you like Snatch, even kind of, I don't want to throw in a Mission Impossible a little bit, but it kind of gave me that vibe of how many twists and turns it had in the plot. Enjoyed it. Couldn't recommend it higher to somebody else.
Yeah, I really agree with you on that. I have a feeling I like it just a little bit more than you did, but I mean that's fine. I mean I can't. It sucks when you can't force somebody to like what you like. You know what I mean? Like you sit
I
there
did
and
like it.
no. I'm saying I have no consolidated thoughts about this. So when you like something and you tell somebody to go like it and they're like, yeah, it was okay, like how Mikey does, like when Mikey tries to get us to go listen to country, and I'm like,
Oh,
sure, Mikey, yeah, oh,
yeah.
okay, I like that song, but definitely not as much as you. Anyways, what I was going to is that this was like I said, this is one of my staples. I just like how everything was pre-planned in his head and it unfolded just the way he wanted to, and that little twist at the end.
Oh,
I was like, and it wasn't a main plot twist. It wasn't like something like, oh, well, he was the bad guy the whole time. It was just something at the very end. It was literally the last line of the movie,
yep.
and you're like, no way.
I was hurt by it and shocked, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah, I felt hurt too. Like I was just like, I didn't know. The whole thing was I'm gonna give you a little background of the movie. The whole thing is Daniel Craig is like kind of a low end, not really drug dealer. He's more of a middleman to facilitate the dealings, and he gets caught up in the world of where one rogue person comes in and does something really dumb, completely unannounced or unrelated to what Daniel Craig's doing, but somehow it reaches back to him and he has to solve the situation. Like it's like being left up to him, and it shows him just like you say in like Ocean's 11, where it's just like how's he gonna get through this and what's going on. And
He's
you're right, it was just
he's given multiple problems and he's got to find unique ways of making all parties happy. And to give IMDb gives a one sentence plot, and it says a successful cocaine dealer gets two tough assignments from his boss on the eve of his early planned retirement. But again, just a who, and it took me a minute to even recognize the female Sienna Miller's in this.
Yes, gorgeous.
Oh, Tom Hardy is in this. I could just keep going on and on. I'm looking at the character list here, but for the first 30 minutes, you're going to go, no way, they're in it too?
Yeah, you're gonna recognize all these people. You might not recognize their names or something, but they're character actors. And I think Daniel Craig just did a great job of playing this a character that, like I said, was kind of getting out. He made his number. He's getting out. He's doing his thing. But then not
Oh,
only
that
did he have to,
end.
like, it wasn't like one of those things where he's just doing his job and what he's good at his job. Like, his character was taken out of his normal world, and he had to do some uncomfortable stuff that you could tell, like, his character just wasn't comfortable with. Like, he had to go solve a problem that was going to be a problem for him later in the movie.
And he has no skill with solving that problem. He has no experience with it, but that's what his boss handed down, so figure it out.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, well, need to go amputate a leg. What do you mean? I'm an accountant. Like, how do I do that? Didn't happen in the movie. I'm just trying to draw two extreme parallels.
Yeah.
But
But I can see why you liked it so much.
yeah,
Good movie.
I would say that's definitely in my top 10. That's definitely it might be like 8 or 9, but it's a good one that I can always watch.
I do need to watch it again. I enjoyed it the first time, but it's one of those that so many plot twists. I could give more appreciation to it if I saw it again.
Mm-hmm. Listener, go watch Layer Cake and tweet us at sure whatever bro.
Yep. Bitty beep boop bitty bitty. I hope we keep all of those, and those are the transitions between each one. All right, Tony, bringing it home. The last question I had for you for this podcast. Interesting one. I had gotten in a debate with my buddy and his wife on this topic a couple years ago, and it's tough. It's a tough question. I'll just get the question out and then we can talk about it. Do you think there is such a thing as a 100% selfless act? 100% selfless, meaning you do something, as it states, 0% for yourself and totally for them.
So
And go ahead. Oh,
you know,
it's tough.
my initial reaction is to say no. There's no absolutes. But thinking about it more with just the limited brain power I got, I mean, the gerbil's smoking over
Mine's
here trying to
tired.
make analogies and thinking about thinking about this. But my initial reaction is no, but I kind of want to say yes. There is. I want to say yes. What do you think? Do you think there?
I want this answer to be yes. I hope that there is. I fear that there isn't. Because this was the debate. So me and my buddy were talking to his wife, and initially we all thought, yes, of course, there's such a thing as a non-selfless act. You do something nice for someone else, of course. And you start thinking about it, and even if you do something nice, it could be something small. You give somebody a couple dollars, you help them move this, you help in any way. Is there a small percentage of that you're doing it because you want to feel good about yourself for doing something nice? Even if it's just a 1%. It's 99% for them, 1% for you.
So if you're saying if you do something and you think it's selfless, like let's say somebody drops their wallet and you pick it up and you hand it to them, or like an old lady drops some change and you pick up the change and hand it to them. That if you feel good about what you did, that's not 100% selfless because that act made you feel good.
If any part of what you did was to make you feel good as well, then it's not selfless.
Okay.
It's so tough. I don't know if we can answer this, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Well, let me ask you. So this is what I'm thinking right here. What you just said, like if you do anything, and I'm using the word intentionally. If you intentionally do something to make yourself feel good about yourself, then I don't believe that it's 100% selfless. But and this is let me just run down the road of feelings first, because whatever you do in life, whether you wipe with your non-dominant hand, you eat a burrito, you do a podcast, you high five a friend, like there is going to be some sort of emotional feeling, and there's no neutral feeling. Can like if whatever you do, you're either gonna feel good or bad about it, or you're gonna feel happy or angry. Like there's no top of the mountain, or I would say bottom of the bowl. Like if you're rolling a ball bearing around there, like whatever you do will always move that ball bearing somewhere along that bowl. There's nothing neutral. So I don't feel that you can do any act and not move the needle of any one of your emotions, regardless, because it's just human nature. It's gonna happen.
Sure.
And so I want to say that if you intentionally are doing something with the thought like, oh, I'm going to help this old lady pick up her coins or something, like, or pick up her wallet or purse that she dropped, and you notice that, and you do that knowing like, well, if I didn't do it, I'd feel like it. So I'm doing this now, so I feel good about myself. I guess that answer is no, right? Can you kind of see that?
Yep.
Now, this is where I think where it is 100% selfless. If you're on the phone talking to, like, let's just say you're talking to mom, blah blah blah, and you're talking to me. We're in a great conversation about how my wiping technique is superior to yours.
Yeah. So we're in a fictitious conversation. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a callback right there, listener. So you're on the phone, you're talking to me, and you are 100% engaged in this. You're 100% engaged, like you're not thinking of anything else. You're just in line, and also, and the lady drops her purse and lands at your feet, and your just natural reaction is reach down, not missing a beat, pick it up and hand it to her, and you're still talking to me like you're 100% engaged with me, and you just out of natural reaction, like you're holding the door for somebody, like you're holding the door, like something simple.
So it's instinctive, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that could be 100% selfless. Do you kind of see that, like how the needle doesn't move for you at all? Maybe later on it moves, you feel good about yourself, but it wasn't intentional to do good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe consciously it wasn't intentional. I don't know if. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. I don't know. We're seeing both sides of the coin here, and I think as we're talking through this, is there a way to answer this? I don't know if this question has an answer.
Well, just the way I'm interpreting your question is like the razor's edge of, is there, if you're doing something selfless. Now, if you're going to do something like, if I'm going to give you $10 because I know you're going to drive me to, or no, see, I'm going to buy your drink because you drove to, I don't know, the ball game or something like that. Like that's not selfless, or that's not a selfless act, because it's almost like a barter. Like I know that you drive me there, or me paying you later is gonna, or within drinks is gonna, I don't, you know what I'm trying to say? There's nothing you can do, whether it's go down and cook something to solve your hunger, or go to the gym, or I don't know, go to work or something. Everything's going to.
It is eliciting some sort of emotional response. Basically, you're saying there's no such thing as apathy. Everything you do will have some sort of a response, whether it's on the one end of the spectrum or the other, or in varying grades of that. There's nothing dead center at apathy.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think where I'm dividing your question is whenever you do that, if it's premeditated, like the lady drops her purse in front of you, I'm gonna do this and pick it up because I know I'm gonna feel like if I don't later.
Mm.
But if it's just naturally instinctive, like you're on the phone with me, or let's just say you're walking out the door and somebody's walking in and they're a step just too far, and you just hold that door just so they can catch that one extra step so they can get it, like you're holding the door for somebody. I think that's 100% selfless act, because you get nothing out of that. Maybe later on you feel good about that, but that wasn't your intention. Your intention wasn't to do that. That's where I'm trying to, I guess, cut your question in half right there, because it's not I don't see it as a shade question. Excuse me, it is a shade question, but I'm trying to find the yes or no of that shade.
I know, I'm trying to make it black or white.
Do you kind of see that? I mean, I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yep, I see what you're saying. I just don't know if I can give it a solid. It's a tough question. It may have been the toughest one I've thought of.
I'm manipulating your question so I can have an answer, but I do agree with you that I don't think there is such a thing as a 100% selfless act if you, in some way or form, anywhere in
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I would like to know what our listener has to say. Listeners, if they think that there's a such a thing as a 100% selfless act, and if so, what do you think it is, or a scenario in which you've experienced one?
Hey AJ, if there's a place that our listeners could contact us at, where is that place?
Is there? I think it's wildly popular throughout the internet now. It's been gaining a lot of traction. If it's on the tip of my tongue, yeah, it's the Sure Whatever podcast. It's and you can tweet us your answer at Shirt Whatever Bro. Yep,
Oh, that's
shocking,
amazing.
unbelievable.
God. Oh,